Hello everyone and welcome to episode 22 of my Create This Book series by me and Moriah Elizabeth. Today I'm going to be doing 4 more prompts in this book. Before I begin, be sure to like and subscribe and let's get creating. The first prompt of today is to create a contradiction. So I'm supposed to draw something that contradicts itself, and I immediately had a thought come to mind to draw a cup of hot chocolate, but that is cold. So cold hot chocolate was the vision for this, so I sketched out this design. I had to do a couple of touch-ups because the right side was much taller than the left side, but that's okay. I just went ahead and fixed up some lines, and then it was time to actually start creating the contents of the drink. So I wanted to make sure the ice was very emphasized since it is the main part of the contradiction of this drawing, and then I also wanted to make sure that you knew it was hot chocolate, so I just went ahead and labeled it hot cocoa. Although, shouldn't I have labeled it iced cocoa? I'm not sure. I think this fits better with the contradiction theme, but anyway, now it's time to go ahead in with the line art. So I just went over everything that I already sketched out, but made sure it was super nice and neat this time. I know that iced hot chocolate is already a thing, but I thought it would be the perfect drawing for this contradiction theme because it is a contradiction literally in the name. Iced hot chocolate, it's just kind of funny, so I really wanted to draw that and capture it, and I think it would make a cute drawing. So then I went ahead and just finished the outlines for everything. I forgot the moon tattoo, so I went ahead and added that in as well, made sure I didn't forget that important detail, and then it was time to erase so I could go in with the colors, and I'm going to be using my Ohuhu markers to color this in. I know that's probably not a surprise, but I love these alcohol-based markers. So now I'm going ahead in with the skin tone first, and I decided to lay out the marker caps on the side. That way if you're coloring along or you're just curious what colors I used, you can see them on the side here. So I went ahead in and gave that all a nice coat, and then went over some parts again to give extra shading everywhere. I wanted to paint the nails, so I went ahead and gave it this purple, and I'm going to be using these 3 colors for the hot chocolate. So I started with my darkest color first and just went ahead in and added shading everywhere that I thought that it should be, mostly under the ice and at the bottom. And then next was the middle tone, where I kind of just put next to the mainly dark parts, and then after that I went in and basically just filled the rest of the spaces with the lightest color. I wanted the cold hot chocolate to look extra delicious and creamy and chocolatey, so I made sure to add some whipped cream at the top and use really rich, warm colors to really give it that chocolatey effect. And then it was time for the ice, which is the most important part of this drawing, arguably, to really sell that contradiction. So I decided to add in a whole bunch of fun colors to make it look more like ice, like pink, purple, and blue. And then after that, it was time for the gel pen details and highlights, which you know I went a little overboard adding in some details and sparkles. I really wanted the cup to look like plastic, and I wanted the ice to look like ice. So then after that, I cut it out, and there was a little winning moment there. And then it was time to put it inside of the book. So I went ahead and stuck it down, and here is my contradiction of iced hot chocolate. And I think it turned out so cute. I love the drawing. And now it's time for the next prompt of the day, which is to create a contour drawing. So I'm going to be using my Posca pens for this one. I love these, and I think these will be the perfect way to create a drawing where I don't stop drawing the entire time. And I of course wanted to make some pumpkins because it is peak fall season, so why not? I felt like this would be an easier way to do this, drawing pumpkins, but I was wrong, and every time I drew a different pumpkin I liked it less than the first one. Contour drawing is really hard. It was hard not to want to lift up my utensil and keep on going in a different way, so I kind of freestyled some of them, and then I wanted to try and make them a little bit better with some of these littler acrylic Ohuhu markers that I have. So I went ahead in and added in some stems and some leaves to try and liven up the design a little bit more. I also thought adding in some cute little character faces on some of the pumpkins would help. It just wasn't giving what I wanted it to, so I just kept adding to it a little bit to kind of sell the idea, and this is what I came up with, which I think is pretty cute, but I definitely like the first pumpkin the best, and I think I fit the prompt best with that. But now it's time for the next prompt, which is to create patterns. For this prompt, an idea immediately came to mind to kind of make a patchwork quilt, so I thought it would be really cool to make a whole bunch of different patterned pieces fit together. So first I started off with painting all of the backgrounds, pretty messily I might add. I always press down on the Posca markers to get more paint, but then I always do it on my drawing, which I'm trying to learn to do it off to the side, but thankfully there were no spills or crazy things happening this time. It was just a little extra paint, and that was all good and dandy. I just made sure to put it in the correct squares. So I kind of tried to pick some Halloween and fall colors for these squares, but I mostly just picked whatever I felt like putting in there and tried to make them a little bit matchy and go together, but I also just picked kind of whatever came to mind to fill in all of these squares, and now it's time to create the patterns. So I wanted each colorful square to have its own pattern that came together to form kind of a quilt. So for this first one, I did clouds. It kind of looks like Toy Story. And then for this one, I wanted to do candy corns, and I messed up the colors. I was thinking about it so hard, and I wanted to not mess it up so bad that I ended up messing it up anyway. I'm sure you can relate to that. But once I did one the wrong way, I just kind of went with it and did them all the wrong way. And then for this one, I went ahead and did some gold flower details, which I thought were really cute. And for the last one, I wanted to do some Cinderella type of pumpkins. So I picked this pretty blue and drew out some pumpkin designs, and then added in a whole bunch of little designs for the pumpkins as well. And this is what the first one turned out like, super fall and super cute. So now it's time to do a Halloween design. So for this first one, I wanted to do some gravestones, and I wanted to make it a pattern, but I made the first gravestone way too big, so then I had to adjust course and add in some little ones. This one I think turned out to be one of the best patterns. I added in some bones, and then for the next one, it was time to do some bats. I felt like bats would go well with the red, and then after that, it was time to move on to this little purple design where I created this really cute little monster outline, which I actually think turned out so cute. For the next one, I went ahead and did some skeletons, and I know we're moving quickly here, but I really just did repeat designs. This one was kind of funny because I did lightning bolts for Frankenstein, but none of the lightning bolts turned out looking the same. But now it's time to actually put them into the book, and I think it actually turned out pretty cool altogether. I'm not in love with any of the patterns in particular, but seeing them all together, it looks really fun, and it came together that way. But now it's time for the last prompt of the day, which is to create a dialogue. So I first started sketching out my design. I had an idea immediately to create a conversation between two of the ghosts that I have created for spooky season, and so I went ahead and sketched them out and made them have a little bit of a conversation where the cowboy ghost Noodle says howdy, but I wasn't loving that first design, so it was time to re-sketch it again, make it a little neater, and I wanted Noodle the cowboy ghost to be a little more center stage on the paper than the mushroom ghost. So I went ahead in and drew that, and then I also decided to add in the baby mushroom because that is also an important detail, and their conversation was introducing one another to each other. So one says, "I'm Mushroom Ghost," and the other one says, "Howdy, I'm Noodle," and the baby of course has to join in the conversation as well and say, "I'm Baby Mushroom." So then I went ahead in with my Ohuhu markers again and just colored everything in. I liked that it was looking like a comic book panel, so that's kind of what I was going with when I was shading it and adding in all of my colors. I wanted it to be super bright and colorful, so I added in this purple background as well, but made sure to leave out the wording so it stood out. And then I decided to add in some character details, and this is Deputy Noodle, and then there's Mushroom Ghost introducing herself, "Howdy, I'm Noodle," and there's Baby Mushroom. So I think this one turned out super cute, and I love the gold star especially because I love details, but I put in the little rough sketch and the final design, and here is how it turned out, and I think it's so cute, and I love seeing the idea come to life, and I thought it was really fun just to have two of my characters introduce themselves to each other. But here is the first prompt of the day again, where I created a contradiction of iced hot chocolate, and I think this one turned out so beautiful. It's my favorite one. Next up, we had the contour drawing, where I tried my best to not lift up my Posca markers, but I failed miserably and then went rogue and added in a whole bunch of details to make it better. Here is the patterns that I made, where I kind of made a patchwork quilt full of different patterns and designs for fall and spooky season, which I think turned out pretty cute. And finally, here is the dialogue between Mushroom Ghost and Cowboy Noodle Ghost, and here they are talking to each other, introducing one another. Let me know which one of these prompts from today was your favorite. Like I said, mine was the first one. We've got a lot more to go, so stay tuned and like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!